What is up, horror fiends? Welcome back to the Horror Junkies podcast, the podcast that discusses all things horror. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and I'm joined with my ghoulish friend, Dylan.
Hello.
And we got a special guest on our show today, ghouls. We have Dani Filth from Cradle of Filth himself joining us for an exclusive interview. Welcome to the show, Dani.
Hello, greetings. It's a pleasure.
Yeah,
definitely.
This is very cool. This is very
cool.
awesome.
We are both, me and Dylan, we have been in the music scene for a long time. We're primarily in like the underground hardcore punk scene, but of course we grew up listening to metal. We grew up listening to Cradle of Filth, obviously. So having the opportunity to hang out with you, talk about the new upcoming album. And
you talk about hardcore punk as well. I'm a fan as well. I grew up in American hardcore,
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. My buddy
Uniform Choice, Stag Nasty, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's funny. I actually didn't find out about Cradle of Filth until high school, which was like in 2004. Yeah, about 2004, because I had a friend. He had a Cradle of Filth shirt for every day of the week at school. That's all he wore was Cradle of Filth shirts. It was like in his best.
With that. It sounds like my kind of guy.
Yeah, he had good taste, because I finally checked it out, and then that kind of introduced me into a lot more like extreme metal, more on the Gothic side of things, and then it just slowly morphed me into like the whole like theatrics of that kind of metal. I'm a theatrics person through and through, even in hardcore. Because I've fronted hardcore bands, I've always wanted to include some sense of like Gothic theatrical finesse into anything I ever did with like my own personal style or my stage moves or anything like that. I always like David Gahan's a huge influence, even to just how I choose to move on stage or act. Like, so I'm a massive fan. So like, yeah, I think it's so cool.
Cool.
So I just want to get into it. You know, here we are, Cradle of Filth releasing their 14th studio album, The Screaming of the Valkyries. So diving into that, thinking about the themes and concepts, what really drove this record and how does it compare to some of your past work?
Well, nothing really drove it other than the need to release a new record. And our modus operandi for that was just to write an album and deliver it as you would do in the 70s or 80s, devoid of being any special edition or bonus track for Timbuktu or anything like that. It's like, this is what we're going to give, and we're not going to have an intro and outro or, halftime Super Bowl intermission in the middle. We just like, there's your album. And like I say, our aim for it was just to write it was 10 originally. We dropped one song, but 9 really, really catchy songs, albeit, extreme or whatever ingredients we use to encapsulate that. Be it sort of new wave of British heavy metal vibes or black metal or death metal, whatever it is. Music's good if it's good. And that was what we wanted to do from the off. New people in the band as well. I've been in the band a while now, 3 years. One of which just got married. Zoe, our keyboardist, just got married to our guitarist Ashok. So,
awesome!
I'd say things are going pretty well, you know.
Yeah, you're a matchmaker, Dan.
Yeah.
Cradle of love. That's what it is. That's the reality.
I was going to say my face. No, don't worry about it.
Listen, we don't need Love Island is whatever. We need Cradle of Love with host Dani Filth. Metalheads need love too, you know?
Oh, I love it. And then thinking about, because we've actually had the opportunity to listen to the full record, but just, touching on like To Live Deliciously and Malignant Perfection, definitely do set like this striking tone. Can you kind of maybe walk us through the creative process behind those two tracks?
No, it's really hard. There's no mathematical algorithm. Yeah. And people ask about inspirations. Around inspirations is everything that is happening at that particular time, where it's theatre, art, music, literature, politics, although we try not to let those ever dictate what happens. But you can't help with this, inauguration of Trump and what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, North Korea, whatever they're fucking up to, Palestine and Israel. It's a fucking war zone out there. And obviously that will effect. And in fact, although we're all about escapism, we're all about what you were talking about, big theatrics and just losing yourself in the music. You can't help but be influenced by everyday occurrences. And the Screaming of the Valkyries, despite sounding like a very heavy metal title, it's kind of influenced by that, by the fact that if you were symbolically to hear the Screaming of the Valkyries, you know that our final vestiges of salvation are overrun. Heaven's, been taken out, and it's Ragnarok. It's the end of everything. And that's inspired by the fact that we're literally, a few seconds away from midnight on the doomsday clock.
We're moving ever closer. I saw that article not too long ago.
Yeah, me too. And that's kind of what actually cemented the deal with me. And like you say, we're all about escapism. There's songs about vampirism on here. There's songs about life codes to live deliciously. Non Omnis Moria, a song about reaching beyond the grave and having a tie to someone you love, etc., etc. There's ritualization, there's sex, there's death, there's everything that's escapist about Cradle of Filth. But at the same time, you can't be helped but be governed by exterior forces.
Right. And there's always creative ways to blend that in. I mean, because a lot of I guess you would say like fantasy or whatever is influenced by modern day events. It's just a way to blend reality, but allow people to escape into like, I've always viewed Cradle of Filth as like, just like this. It's like when the albums start, you're in a story, or like you're just in like this enchanted, dark, snowy graveyard forest, and it's like you can escape, but there's things that you can relate to so well as well, and it's just so romantic.
Would there be a graveyard in a forest?
Listen, I'm from Ocala. There have been graveyards in Thor.
There's a lot of hidden graveyards in forests. In old Florida for sure.
Definitely.
But it's also, you've always blended extreme metal with like gothic and theatrical elements. I brought that up earlier. Do you feel the album pushes these boundaries even further? I mean, with your 14th album, do you feel like does this push those things further?
Well, the videos do, yeah. In fact, I've had just signed off on the second video, which should have come out 2 weeks ago with To Live Deliciously. But unfortunately, the story part of the video, the band performance had already been filmed. But the story part was being finessed in Hollywood somewhere. And we had all the fires and so they were in direct line of the fires. They didn't get burnt out, but they had to be evacuated, couldn't come back for ages. Then they had to clean the whole place out of smoke and whatever. So I've literally just ticked off on that today, the final edit. And that's pushing things as well. It's a slightly bit more visceral than Malignant Perfection. But yeah, I do. I think it, with every album, it's going to open more vistas of opportunity, more windows, and allow people to peer inside by and we love releasing videos to go alongside it. We've got a third one coming out for the track White Hellebore, which will come out with the album's release around March the 21st, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then maybe even a fourth visualizer or something like that. But yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. And then obviously the stage show that will come out with the album, and yeah, it's a good vehicle.
Yeah, I'm coming to the actual. I live in New York City now, but I'm coming to the New York City show, and I am looking forward to seeing what theatrics are on.
Yeah, there's no Florida dates, unfortunately, and I was like, dang, not even an Atlanta date, because if there was, I've never had a chance to see you guys. You guys always play like Fort Lauderdale in Florida, and that's just we played there not so long ago with Danzig.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tried to go. I think I had a work thing I just couldn't miss, or I had some prior engagement that I was committed to. But one day I think
in May you just get your ass up here and you come with me to see him in New York.
I ain't got nothing else to do. I did want to come up there for Paradise Lost, so maybe I'll try to make that work.
You've got the same surname as our guitar tech, Ponce.
Really?
Yeah, our guitar tech's Anthony Ponce.
Is he? Does he have like a listen? You have I got a 23andMe DNA test thing in my kitchen. We might be related. I'll let you know if we.
I do. He's from New York State.
Oh, he is.
Oh. Yeah. He lives in Texas now.
Okay, that's funny because when I go to the TSA, the airport security in New York, it's a lot of Puerto Rican, and then because Ponce is the Puerto Rican pronunciation because I'm actually related to Ponce de Leon.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and he's buried in the Church of Old San Juan. So when I go to TSA, they're like, "Hey, Ponce," and I'm like, "Kinda."
Maybe.
I have no idea. But it's funny you brought up earlier. The album title is kind of heavy metal, and I'm like, it kind of gave me a Saxon vibe, a little bit, like the name of the title of the album. But I heard the album is anything but. I'm telling you, there is some really, really just what Jamie Josta would call hard riffs in that album. Like just really good, catchy stuff. And I mean, I remember watching MTV2 Headbangers Ball back in the day and seeing Cradle of Filth music videos and being like, these guys are just so dang cool. This is like, it was everything I wanted back in that time. And it's kind of, so yeah, I think whatever videos come out, I'll always check them out.
Yeah.
Cool. You like the new one?
So I can't wait for them. Thinking of Cradle of Filth, we're a horror podcast. We talk about all things horror. I wanted to kind of figure out like if there were any horror films, maybe literature or folklore that potentially you would love to compose a soundtrack for.
Oh God, I mean that could be anything really, to be honest. Well, I wrote a song for Dario Argento that was on the film Mother of Tears with Claudio Simonetti from Goblin.
Yep.
So that was something I struck off my hit list. But yeah, I don't know anything, to be honest. I mean, if they're going to, if after all these years, they're going to do a decent revival Hellraiser movie, obviously that. But they struggled for about God knows how many years.
We're actually about to do a marathon.
Redo it, and then they did redo it, and it was absolutely awful. Everybody desperately tried to like that, and desperately. I mean, no, it was awful. I mean, it had some good ideas. Some bits were great, but generally, it was a lot of standing around.
Yeah, anything stacked against the original. I'm a huge Hellraiser fan. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Absolutely.
I just think that they tapped into something there.
I know, and when you hear all the discussions, and it's just got to be a studio thing, or the people, putting the money into New Line or whatever it is, because it's got so much potential that if me and you were like, okay, let's get on the Zoom call for 2 hours, and by the end of it, we're going to have Hellraiser, the defining movie, and we'd do it, and we'd do a fucking good job of it. So somewhere down the line, it's either lack of money, lack of ideas, or just a lack of, funding because they're too worried that, it might be too controversial. It might not make cinema release or whatever. It does reek a little bit of the corporate because
it does.
Horror fans would have fucking eschewed that.
I think it truly needs to be
There's only been one really good remake of late. And that's been the Evil Dead.
Yes.
Because
I
literally cried into my own offal when and awful should be a better word for like the remakes of. I didn't mind Halloween. It just drags up a fucking bit now. But when I heard Friday the 13th was being remade, I thought, oh, jig, here we go.
Yep, here we go.
Freddy was dreadful, like awful. Candyman, oh my God. What an insult to the death of Tony Todd.
Yeah. Right. Did you happen to see the Omen prequel, the first Omen?
I did, and it wasn't too bad. My friend said, oh my God, you got to watch it. But I actually preferred Immaculate, to be honest.
Same.
Oh, wow.
I prefer Immaculate as well.
See, I was a first Omen, but I thought they both made my top 10 list of that year.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the first Omen as well. But the thing with The Omen that made the originals was the soundtracks. I mean, The Omen 3 is fucking beyond belief. That's my favorite Omen. The one with Sam Neill.
Yeah. I'm a huge, I used to, as a little kid, I'd watch the Sci-Fi Channel, and every day they would play like Omen 2 or Omen 3. That is a very underrated trilogy. Yeah. Very underrated.
And the music is to die for.
The Omen's one of my top favorite horror movies of all time. My mom showed that to me when I was little.
And then they did the dreadful fourth one, which was
God. Yeah. I don't.
And a little bit where they were singing in the street. It was like, oh my God, Jesus Christ.
This is a personal question.
Wasn't bad, where they remade that. That wasn't too bad. That was okay.
Mm-hmm. I have a personal question. Have you seen The Exorcist 3?
Yes, and in fact, that has one of the scariest moments of it when it's Brad Dourif in that, right?
Yes, the legend.
Yeah, there's a point in there where they've got like this great shot where they're panning down a hospital corridor.
Yep.
And some like the nurse at the time, she goes from one room to room checking.
Yes.
Into another room, that thing comes out with the shears behind her,
and it takes like 6 minutes to happen. Yeah, you're just suspended in.
So good.
Yeah, that's a personal thing for me because that's the hill I'm dying on. Is that Exorcist 3 is maybe because it's a William Peter Blatty original. It's a story follow up. The actual not studio forced Exorcist 2, which we won't even talk about, or the Exorcist thing they just did.
The Exorcist Beginnings,
which was,
I didn't mind the last one too much, only for the fact that they actually drew in some of the original story and obviously had I can't remember a bloody name, but the actress who
I was not the biggest fan of that movie, but it's like
I wasn't the biggest fan, to be fair, but I've seen worse.
True. Oh yes, their worst definitely exists, and I feel like that plays into what you were just talking about, how eventually. And I feel like this kind of happens with metal and hardcore too. Once it starts to get to such a corporate popularity, if it doesn't reach the bottom line, then a lot of really good things about it is left on the cutting room floor.
But that being said, I think there's a revival in horror that's been building up.
Yes,
over the last, maybe since the pandemic.
Yeah,
and it's got rid of the zombie phase is out the window again, thank God, because that was like done to death.
Yes,
fucking sick of that. But with Nosferatu, but more primarily with something like Terrifier, because Terrifier has brought back that, oh my fucking God. But the last one was this a magical juxtaposition of or a marriage of like that Christmas movie like Gremlins.
Yep.
And then this extreme horror. And I think corporate, because let me put it bluntly. Back in the day when we used to have X-rated movies here, back in the early 80s, and they had their Black Friday where the police descended on loads of video stores, loads of people got arrested. It was a big fucking thing. It was like it was the PMRC, but over here it was called something else. And people were arrested for having like Zombie 3 with the eyeball scene.
That's crazy.
And nowadays, that sort of shit would happen before the credits in like The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I think, maybe it's because the world hasn't got worse. We were in the grip of fucking the Cold War at that point, and Chernobyl, et cetera, So I don't know what it is. We're a bit more lenient, and I think the world's better for it. And we've seen some great horror movie, and I think the Gothic horror, which is my favorite,
same.
It's done nasty as well, but it also looks luxurious and opulent. That's coming back in a big way as well.
Yeah. Thanks to Robert Eggers. That man is doing the work, bringing back Gothic horror in a way. And Del Toro.
And Del Toro. Can't forget
Crimson
him.
Peak is
Del Toro.
You can't hate.
I really wish somebody had bankrolled, and apparently, fucking now I've forgotten his name. Now I've got Tom Cruise had big investments in at the Mountains of Madness. He was heavily invested in getting that with Del Toro to the screen, and they still haven't. And I've seen the little trailers for it, and it would make a great movie. It'd be like The Thing,
Yeah.
Which to hear Tom Cruise attached to that, sometimes you hear these big celebrities that you wouldn't think that are attached.
Apparently, H.P. Lovecraft, his favorite movies, American Wealth in London.
That's one of mine for sure.
He tried to emulate that a little bit by having the dead person come back to haunt him in The Mummy.
Yeah,
but of course, Mummy was ruined by the fact Tom Cruise has to run really fast everywhere.
Yes, I don't understand that. I was excited for that because Javier Bardem was supposed to play Dracula.
Yeah.
And I thought that would have been great.
But here's the thing, Universal Horror, when they announced all these big names, it was like, fuck yeah. Tom Cruise. I thought, yeah, weird, but it's going to be, I get it. It's going to be cool. And then they had, I forget her name now, original Tomb Raider.
Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
As Bride of Frankenstein. They had Thingy signed on as, Johnny Depp signed on as Invisible Man. I thought, oh man, he's going to be fucking brilliant. Yep. And instead, they fucked it up with their first Dracula movie because it just was CGI heavy. The Mummy was CGI heavy. And then they did The Invisible Man, which was like, what the fuck was that? They went on this real weird sort of woke tangent. And I thought recently with The Wolfman, I thought, oh, God, no. And I read the synopsis. I was like, this is going to be shit. And I actually watched it the other day and was like, this was really good. I liked it.
That's what I've heard. A
lot of people were surprised because Blumhouse sometimes has they have ideas that truly don't hit, like with Night Pool and all these imaginary. So everyone is actually surprised that Wolfman actually kind of.
It was really good. I enjoyed it. It was creepy as fuck.
Cool. Yeah, it's on my watch list. I think I'm going to watch it this week.
I mean, there's a bit of hope in this whole Universal thing, but yeah, it would just be great if they could get it back on track, I
agree. Yeah, because we're actually getting a new Universal theme park in Orlando, and one of the sections.
We are in England as well, the first one of its kind.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and we're at one of the sections of the park is a Universal Monsters section.
Yeah.
Hey,
called the Dark Universe, which is what the entire Universal movie series was supposed to be called originally when Del Toro was attached to it, and then I guess
exactly.
Said, and we don't. I
wanted to see the Creature from the Black Lagoon reimagined. Well, we know what he'd do with it.
He did Shape of Water.
The Shape of Water,
yeah, and to think we almost got a John Carpenter Creature of the Black Lagoon, but what movie was so bad that it didn't work? Mike, do you remember?
No.
What do you mean? Which one out of the Universal ones?
Yeah, he was going to do a remake of Creature of the Black Lagoon, but one of his movies didn't do good, so they pulled it.
Probably vampires or what was it? It wouldn't be like They Live or good movies. It was that one or one of his other just weird off-brand movies.
Maybe it was The Thing because The Thing didn't do good commercially.
True,
because of E.T.
I don't know. The Thing.
Oh yeah, The Thing from Another World.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Ghost of Mars.
Oh,
that's what I was thinking of. Ghost of Mars. That's probably the one that messed it all up for him.
Yeah, but you go and watch that again, and it's actually not that bad. It's
not
pretty
that bad.
You just can't take it seriously. You just got to have fun with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you watch it again, it's got Natasha Henstridge in it, obviously Species, and it's got what's his face in it. Our favorite English
Jason Statham.
Statham, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes. But talking about all these horror and naming so many movies, we got to ask you if you could drop your top 5. What are your top 5 favorite horror movies?
No, I can't do that. I can't do that. It's impossible.
It changes every day.
I agree.
It does. One of my favorite movies of all time is Curse of the Demon or Night of the Demon. You call it Curse in America.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love that film. There's something about that film. To me, being a black and white movie, it even, and everybody would go, "Oh my God, what's wrong with you?" It trumps even, original Dracula and Nosferatu for me. I love that film, Curse of the Demon. There's something about it. It's just so haunting and amazing. So that Bram Stoker's Dracula, I love that film. Yeah, you got to put Hellraiser, The Thing. There's so many. Going back to the Tony Todd thing, not a lot of people know that Tony Todd actually, because everybody knows that Doug Bradley, Pinhead's, he's narrated, he's literally the 7th member of Cradle of Filth. But
really?
He's narrated on so much of our stuff, but for Godspeed on the Devil's Thunder, which was about the sex pest, serial killer, consort of Joan of Arc, whatever, protector of France, Gilles de Rais. Originally, we asked Tony Todd, but what happened? He came to the studio and he did all this stuff, and it was all remote, whatever, because he did it in his own studio. He was very everything had to be done his way. But I don't think his agent, his press agent or his booking agent, actually told him what he was supposed to be doing, because I've got the CD. It's the only one in existence, and you hear him. He does all the parts, and it does it in his very close, almost French, like Bayeux area, deep, drawl, and it's amazing. And then he's reading out all these trial transcripts from the original trial of Gilles de Rais, and it's pretty brutal read, but nobody told him these were taken from historical transcripts. Isn't someone? And he gets halfway through this one bit and just goes, "I can't do this anymore. No." And then you hear him just slam leave the room, put the headphones down, and apparently just left the building and never came back.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh!
But in the last minute, Doug Bradley came in. He had no qualms. He went, "Yeah, no problem. I'll do that. It's right up my street."
I love it. That's insane to hear. Actually, that's actually really cool to hear. Sucks on the press manager's part. Why not tell your talent what they're in for? But
yeah, exactly. I think if you realised that it was historical,
yes.
It wasn't about glorification of someone's, I want to murder children and sacrifice them to Satan and maybe sodomize them in the meantime. Obviously, no, that is a bit off. But I mean, when you find out that this was part and parcel of someone who was, the protector of France and the bodyguard of Joan of Arc, it's indelibly exciting reading. But that's what it was. It was like an album about him, not glorifying his crimes.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear. I've never heard that, and so just like putting that into my knowledge bank now is just absolutely insane to hear, and just insane. We know we don't have a lot of time left here on our time together, but the last thing I just want to get,
you've got a good. I don't know, good 7 minutes.
Yeah, I think this the next.
Because I've got one personal question, and Mike already knows what it is. Okay. Now we all know you like horror movies.
Oh, really?
But you happen to have one of your own from 2000.
Sorry, I thought you were just relating to my life in general.
well. There's a particular movie I wanted to bring up.
Yep.
And it's called Cradle of Fear.
Never heard of it. I know.
My friend Christian was like, "You've never seen their movie?" I said, "No, we watched it. Had the best time watching that movie. The beginning scene where the two people walk up and the guy, they're trying to pick his pockets, and then it just goes nuts from there." Inspiration.
It hit a little harder back in the year 2000 when it came out,
Yes, and
Eli Roth even hinted. He dropped a clanger when he looks like he was really influenced by the last segment of that, The Sick Room.
Yeah, because it's an anthology, so it's like
but he was really into that. And when I watched it, I was like, "Fuck yeah!" He got loads of ideas for Hostel from that.
Oh wow!
Wow. Didn't know that. No, I remember watching it with a couple of friends and just having the best time watching it. What was that like? Just doing a movie like that, just kind of like, like budget or like what you had to do to pull certain things off.
We would love to do another one, and people have been asking literally for the last 20 years, but the one thing nobody's ever done is gone, "Here's a check for, £1 million," because that's how much a film costs.
Yeah.
Back in 2000, we were very lucky to know a lot of people that worked in the movie industry that were between jobs. And it took about a year and a half to film, because we kept it much like with what's his face and Brain Dead and
Peter Jackson.
Yeah, Peter Jackson. It was all done, friends, colleagues, weekend warriors, and people were borrowed from all. These are people who worked on Hellraiser, and they were in between working on other movies, and like some of the starlets in it, like Emily Booth, the main girl in it that everybody had a crush on, the one who ends up having a belly.
You can't forget.
She became. I'm not sure if she's still on it, but she was on the horror channel. She was like the person introduced that. So a lot of good came of it, but it cost us about $100,000. But I mean, that was with deferred payments. Like we didn't pay anybody until it went into money.
Right.
And nowadays, we've done the math. You know, obviously we've not been quite astute with like, can we pursue this again? But yeah, we'd need quite, considerable amount of money to get it into effect, because you can do that once. It's very hard to do that twice.
Yeah,
me and Mike are going to send an email to Shudder on your behalf. I hope you don't mind.
Please do.
Oh no, we will. I will email the team that I know at Shudder and be like, listen, I got an idea.
We need another Cradle of Filth. We've got the script. We've got one ready to go. Just send us some money.
I can't tell you how happy that makes me, because it would be the second it dropped. I would get some friends. We would just have our own viewing party. I've been waiting for a follow up to that movie, just because I've seen it. I feel like I've seen it like at least 3 times. It's just, and being a Cradle of Filth fan makes it that much more awesome to watch. But
the gore in it was amazing, and the people that designed all that stuff, it looked so good. People were like, whoa. The only thing was, we just couldn't afford things like this. I mean, there's like a car chase in it, and we just couldn't afford to total this Porsche. So so that's pretty bad.
My dad would have a heart attack.
But the gore was really top notch, and some of the people in it were top notch as well.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell
we're ushering that shit into the universe. We need a Cradle of Filth. Jesus, a crater of fear.
A Cradle of Fear too.
Dude, we need.
I got you, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
You also sound like you need a drink as well.
Right?
This is a common occurrence.
I get tongue-tied and get fucked up.
Yeah,
I think one of the things that like I really want to ask you, as like before we sign off here, if to the fans, the people expecting this album to come out, if there's one thing that you're wanting to come across to them, or what they can expect, just to the fans, what are you hoping is the outcome from, or the response, rather, of the Screaming of the Valkyries?
Well, I hope they fucking like it. That's the response here. I'm sure they will. It ticks the boxes. I've done so many interviews for it already, and got so many more to come. So I've got fortunately quite a good picture of what people think of the record. And I think our fans, if all these journalists like it, and I know a lot of the journalists, they're big, they're big fans of music, and they're music journalists. Like, you're a horror fan, you're qualified for your job. Probably overly qualified. And so I think they're going to like it. I mean, that's the whole thing. Yeah, it's supposed to be, every time you release an album, it's like monolithic. It's like, there's that one, there's this one, and it's, it takes you 2 years, 3 years to write a record and record it. Yeah. The embryonic stages to the record being in someone's hand, and all the things that have gone in between. So it's a big deal. And you subsequently you make it a big deal, and hopefully, the fans will just embrace it. And I hope more than just our fans as well.
Yeah. Does like it being your 14th album, does like wanting the people's reception to be positive, like at a certain point, does it ever get to be like, this is our 14th album, we are who we are? Like,
I mean, there's totally that. We don't care. We write music for ourselves, and we're at that time now where we put our dues in. So,
have you ever?
I'm quite aware that it's not everybody's cup of tea, and you could write the perfect album. You could pen the perfect film. Yeah. It just depends who directs it, and also, with a perfect record, there's still people who would go, fucking hell, Michael Jackson's Bad's awful, or Thriller is the worst album ever. Well, it's the biggest selling album, but you can't please everybody. So
no, but I mean, I've had the privilege of hearing bits of, the whole album. I listened to it. I listened to the whole thing yesterday, and I listened to the whole thing the day before that. It just gave me, it just reminded me of when I first heard Dusk in Her Embrace. just being like, man, there's so many cool things about this. And like I said, and the singing, like the chorus, like the beautiful chorus singing is in there. And there's all this, it's just, there's so many different things at any given moment in this album, which, I write songs too. I've been in bands and like, not to this degree and not to this length of like longevity and whatnot, but like a 14th album, it's got to be not the easiest thing to find the inspiration to try to push the envelope or try to come up with something that's still uniquely you, but also something new for people that might not have known you.
It's going to get more and more difficult because obviously we're at the age where there's been people that have imitated us or taken out of our books. And then also, metal in general has metamorphosized and, bled into other genres and what have you. And, it's like writing a book or coming out with an original movie. You've got to be really astute in that department because everything's been done. And if it's been done, you've just got to find an original take on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of horror movies recently that I've gone, oh my God, that's so cool. And they are very few and far between. But when you do watch one, you go, oh, Oddity was a good one I watched not so long ago.
Yeah.
Just the fact it was
phenomenal.
Just so unique. Yeah. Like the bit where she's in the house, that fucking freaked me out. And I mean, I haven't been that freaked out. The first time I ever fell in love with horror, and no, this is for me, is when American Werewolf in London. And I'd seen, going back with Michael Jackson and the same John Landis thing, I was about 11 years old. I'd grown up on dinosaurs, went into horror movies from monster movies, really early age, begged my dad, let me stay up and watch this. No, it used to VCR. I'll watch it in the morning, not quite the same thing. But this one time, we hired out The Making of Thriller, and it had a whole thing about John Landis, who directed Thriller as well. And they showed a few clips from American Werewolf, and I was like, I've got to watch that. So I made my dad hire it from Blockbusters. And we used to live in a village. So there was, it was quite remote. And my whole family went out for some reason. They were out. I'll just cut a long story short because I think I said the rest of it last time. Was I just got left at home with American Werewolf in London when I was about 11. And of an evening. And all the things in the movie that are supposed to be black comedy really weren't black comedy to me. They were fucking terrifying. Like when he wakes up in the woods, his friend keeps turning up, sees him in the mirror and the transformation, the werewolf Nazis.
Well, I was just getting ready to say, yeah.
Just fucking terrified me. And when they came back, they pulled it up to the drive very, very slowly and went around the house scratching at the windows. And yeah, that was it. I was freaked.
Yeah, my mom loved to do stuff like that to me because I was her horror movie companion because my dad doesn't like horror movies. But she was like, "You're 6 years old. You could watch Silver Bullet." And then and here we are,
Yeah. That's super interesting because when you were talking about that, I was thinking about this. We recently published like a zine issue where all it was about people's first horror movie experience. And it's really cool to hear how horror has shaped so many people's lives and like just really loving this genre, whether you're someone who like partakes in like the paranormal world of things, or you get into the world like that I enjoy more, which is the extreme horror, Terrifier, grotesque, brutal, all of these insane movies that Dylan will never watch, but I thoroughly enjoy them.
I've seen two of them. I've seen the first two.
And thinking about that and thinking about 2024 as a year for horror, was there anything that you may have watched last year besides Oddity that really stuck with you and caught your eye?
Oh, fuck's sake. No, you know what? I saw did I tell you I saw the, yes, we talked about that. I'm just trying to, we talked about the Wolfman.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked Last Voyage of Demeter, and I know it came out 2023, but it just, or 22, sorry, it vanished though. It was literally like it was a ghost that just vanished out. It's a ghost shit because I heard it coming out. I heard it had a great cast. I heard that it was, like period drama.
Mm-hmm.
The bit of the book which is not, it's covered in whatever, a matter of words, a few stanzas or whatever, maybe. I can't remember, but it's very short anyway. Yeah. But Dracula's voyage to England on the Demeter, and it has been explored in other things like BBC's Dracula. But I thought, wow, really cool, and it just vanished. It literally vanished. It didn't. It was supposed to have a theatrical release here. Didn't. I couldn't get hold of it anywhere, not on anything, And I looked, and it just vanished for. I don't know, over in England for a good. I mean, I found one copy, but it was like $67 or something.
Wow,
Jesus.
Yeah. And eventually, it just turned up on a streaming channel, but to no fanfare or anything. And I thought it must be terrible. It must have bombed. The studio must have just gone, oh, whatever, tax loss.
Yeah.
And I watched it and I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. But I only watched it last year, 2024.
We'll count it.
We'll count it.
I'll say count
it. Yeah. Dylan enjoyed it. Right, Dylan? You watched it. And
I actually, you see, I feel like that happened in England because it didn't get a wide reception in America. I went and saw it the day it came out.
And it has cinema,
yeah. If anything horror that catches my eye, I go and support it, even though I have to drive like 45 minutes to go to a proper theater to see it, because the theater experience is everything to me, always has been. And I remember thinking it was interesting, liking a few things about it. I don't know if I was typically blown away, but I was like, this is a great movie. Why isn't it getting enough attention?
Yeah.
And I think that's a kind of played into the England release. But if you need a copy, I'll smuggle you.
I have a copy now.
No, good.
Eventually hunted the thing down. It was just bizarre how it just vanished from everybody's radar.
I mean,
I thought that there must have been something horribly wrong with it.
Yeah, I mean, physical media is like that.
It is. I mean, for the love of God, 28 days later was almost impossible to pick up a physical copy. And they just recently pushed it to streaming because it's so hard to find and nowhere to watch.
How bizarre.
Yeah.
Alien Romulus, I was very disappointed in.
Same.
I liked and hated it. So
it reminded me of like it's just whenever you get kids involved, I don't care if they're teenagers or whatever, it just felt like a teenage movie. It's like you could never convince me it's going to be an amazing film if you've got, kids as stars. I mean, cool, fair enough. But I mean, like Star Wars, it's all gone now to like kids being the main focal point. And
I feel like with Aliens being, a franchise since the 70s, sure, you want new audiences to check it out, but if the movie's good, young kids are going to check it out.
You're going over the same thing, like something happened, oh my God, it's terrible, and then it happens again, and then it's in this final girl scenario for literally all of the film.
Yeah,
right.
You're getting a bit like, oh fuck's sake, yeah, we get it. She's the new Ridley.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I agree. I mean, like for me, it is hard. Like when you're older, it's harder to like connect with those characters more because you're like, I don't associate with you really at all. And the Alien did so well. I mean, every movie, even the prequels, Prometheus and Alien Covenant, dealt with an adult group, an adult setting. So it was a kind of weird choice on Fetty's point to like pull in like some teenage workers that work for Wayland.
And then they had the robot, which is almost like acted like a baby as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You found yourself, I'm not interested in these fucking people. Any fucking people, really. Let's just get more of the aliens in there.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, even as a kid, when I watched Alien in the 90s, I was a wee lad. But even back then as a young kid, I was like, man, I like this Harry Dean Stanton guy. So like, I think younger people could relate to, older, more mature characters because that's always been the backbone of Alien is people dealing with, this extraterrestrial unknown threat. That's always been. I don't want to know anything more about them. I don't want to know anything more about the aliens. I just want fun sci-fi.
Now we've got the Alien Earth thing coming as well.
Oh my God. The poster looks sick. I'll say that.
It's FX, man. It's FX. I don't know if you watched the show Shogun, but FX.
I did, yes. It was fantastic. I loved it. Yeah.
I think FX is if anyone's going to do it right, I have my most faith in them.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens. That does drop soon. How about for 2025? Is there anything that you kind of have on your sights on as far as horror releases that you're anticipating for the year?
Throw some suggestions my way. I'm sorry, I'm a bit bleak.
No, you're good. So actually coming up is The Monkey from Osgood Perkins.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, the Stephen King had it. Yeah. Looking forward for that. I heard it's
And
quite grisly as well.
Same. I have a couple of friends who went to some advanced screenings and said it's absolutely batshit, excessively gory, and I absolutely can't wait.
I can't wait because that's the kind of gore I like. I like fun gore. I like oh shit, like reel back, like oh my, like you. It's so insanely absurd. You have to laugh.
Yeah, Dylan's spectrum on gore is like he can deal with that, but he can't handle Tokyo Gore Police or anything.
I watched it with Pat. I'm hot and cold on it. I'm hot and cold. I like demons and ghosts and things like that. That's my kind of horror for sure, and slashers. But
yeah. And then there's of course 28 Years Later coming out later on the year, kind of resurging the 28 Weeks Later, 28 Days Later franchise. Those are kind of like my two picks for the year. Those are like the mainstream movies. But one thing I will heavily suggest to you, something I watched recently called 1978, which is an Argentinian film, and it's based around the World Cup in Argentina, but it's like this crazy, brutal torture movie.
Oh my God, there was another Argentinian movie. And I keep forgetting the name. I keep thinking it was called Rabbit. I know this. Yeah, obviously there is a film called Rabbit at the same title as another film. So it's either Rabbit or Frantic. It was about these girls who stayed at this house and these two guys. It was awful. It was a bit like
Run Rabbit Run?
No.
Okay.
It was like I Spit on Your Grave. It was.
Gotcha.
It was
oh shit. Okay.
Very, very unnerving.
Yeah, this one is kind of up there. It has a weird twist in it that goes very batshit crazy, but it's about to make its like worldwide premiere. Finally, it's been going through like the circuits through all the festivals, but definitely if you're into like that type of movie, and the 1978 has definitely got to put something on your watch list for the year. And then, Dylan, we always ask these anyone who goes on our show, we are a big snack heavy podcast. We like to
this
watch
is very
movies.
important to us.
This is very important. When you're watching a horror movie or you're watching true crime, whatever you're watching, what is that go-to snack when you're watching something?
The go-to snack. Be popcorn, I think. When me and my partner, when we sit down to specifically watch, and we're going. I'm taking her for Valentine's to Florence in Italy. So
Nice.
I said, right, we need to watch some of the films. There's Portrait of a Lady, which I've never seen, but I love the soundtrack. I know, not horror, obviously.
No,
Hannibal, and the third part, which is got some really good Dante-esque Inferno.
yes, I love Inferno.
Yep.
Not Dario Argento's, obviously, but the
Legend, yeah.
No, not Dario Argento.
No,
the third part of with Tom Hanks or whatever.
Yeah. Oh God.
Da Vinci Code.
There's the Da Vinci Code, and then there's the third part of it, which is also called, isn't it called Inferno?
Inferno. That's
Inferno.
it. But they're all based in Florence. So we sat down and said we're going to watch one of these films so we can check out Florence, remote view it, etc. And yeah, when we do things like that, it's just like we'll get some popcorn in. Is the obvious.
I can't tell my girlfriend that you're taking your wife to Italy because I just got her flowers and perfume, and now she's going to be like, "Well, Danny took his to Italy. Why aren't you taking me?"
You got to step up your game, Dylan. You got to step up your game.
I know.
And really, Danny, like I said, like when we were going through the interview, we were almost done. We don't have a lot more for you. One of the big things we truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come here, talk about the new album, which is coming out in March, talk about horror movies and, your love for them as much as our love for them.
Did you see Beaten to Death?
Have I seen Beaten to Death? Probably not, but I will add it to my watch list.
Yeah, that's a nasty film. It's not a huge budget, but I watched it not at the same time. That'd be ridiculous. I watched one after the other in a violent nature, and I preferred Beaten to Death. They're both brutal, but I think the other one was a bit more gritty. It's horrible.
And I really liked In a Violent Nature. So I don't see why I couldn't give Beaten to Death a try.
I preferred this.
The poster looks sick. I'm here for it. I will definitely check that out. I just recently watched this movie on Tubi called Live Feed from like 2006. And it's pretty much these kids who just go to like Chinatown and get absolutely destroyed. Think Hostel, but more like, grittier, more real life feeling. Like you're watching and it's kind of like handheld surveillance things, but they have like this giant 6'5" dude in like full on leather, just bounding people up and cutting them up. It's an insane movie. It's called Live Feed.
Live Feed. Okay.
Yep. It came out like 2006 by, his name is like Ryan Nicholson.
I saw one the evening we did the, I guess it must have rubbed off on me. And I was like, I cooked myself a meal and I was like, I'm going to put something on. You know what? I'm just going to go for any horror and just check it out. And I watched The Well and I was actually surprised.
Yes.
Nasty.
Oh my God.
That movie is disgusting. I got sent that before it hit the network, and I was horribly surprised how awesome that movie is and just how horrific it really was.
My faith in randomly choosing movies came back again.
Listen, it's the best to do with horror movies. Like whenever you just see like, let me just give it a try. And sometimes you stumble on a sleeper
Netflix or whatever. You get a rudimentary shite picture, like a picture you would never ever use to publicize the movie. In fact, probably puts you off some of the blockbusters.
Yes.
And then the reviews are just so poor for everything that you just think someone's got to be right if this just got a 1 star, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think any horror movie on Netflix goes above 2 stars.
Listen, you got to go to Tubi. Tubi is the promised land for the most fucked up movies you can find.
Tubi is where the freaks dwell.
I don't know who is like they're approving some of these movies, but truly, like,
but it's probably they're probably clearing out the scraps.
Literally,
the other platforms are just sweeping away.
Don't want that.
And
it's like, here's this, you're getting fucking like a movie called Live Feed or something that's called like Homemade Violent Massacre, and it's just like people in their basement, and you're just like, is this real? Is this, because it's like a borderline snuff, but still a horror movie. They're just, I don't know who gave this person power at Tubi, but he's going unchecked right now, and it's insane. But with all of this being said, the one thing I want to leave you with is, if there's anything you have to say to the fans watching about the new album, anything to check out, now the time is yours to just do whatever you want, say whatever you want, and then we'll sign off for the day.
Well, I'm actually stumped, to be honest. I remember what you said last time. I mean, okay, new album's coming out.
Yep.
March 21st. Oh, in the meantime, last time I spoke to you, in that gap, I actually got to see our new video, which is actually very nasty.
Oh, fuck yes.
Or To Live Deliciously. So it's got to be, I definitely recommend that to horror fans. And the reason it didn't come out with a single, I think I said because of the fires in LA. So I only just put the finishing touches to the edit on that. I think I might have said that anyway. And catch us. We're touring America with the Chaos and Carnage Festival, co-headlining with Dani Filth.
Fucking sick.
And a bunch of other bands. That's happening in April to May.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I think I can't remember when we come back to the States after that, to be honest. But busy. Rest of the year is just busy as hell.
Well, that's always good to hear. I mean, after 14 albums, it's great to hear that, the fans are still enjoying it. You're still enjoying it. I know that Dylan and I both cannot wait for everyone to listen to the Screaming of the Valkyries, because it's just an absolute brutal album. And I can't wait to check out this new music video, because if it's anything like you're describing, I will be sure to be making a video on our social platforms, reviewing and watching it.
Cool. Awesome.
You can, like Danny said, they're going on tour with Dying Fetus. You got to check out the tour dates. We'll put them on our show notes.
What a combo.
It's just, I cannot wait.
What a combo.
I bought my ticket yesterday for the New York City show. So Danny, I'll be there fucking hanging out, rocking out some new songs. It was awesome to meet you. Until next time, I'm Mike.
And I'm Dylan.
Stay weird, man. Have a good one.
Yeah. Thank you.